Did you know that even though there are tens of thousands of words in the English language, you really only need about 3,000 of them to say anything you need to say? I'm teaching 3,000 words in 3,000 days. Stick with me and you'll get a new word every day.
Generally, generally. Generally means most of the time or as a general rule. So I I have here a picture of 7 days. This, whatever it is, generally happens every day. We generally don't do this thing on Wednesday. So generally means most of the time, not all of the time. It can be used as an adverb of frequency, but is also used to mean as a general rule or something you can usually count on. In English, we have a lot of grammar rules, but those grammar rules are only generally true. We have even more exceptions to our grammar rules. So whenever I talk about a grammar rule, I'm going to say we generally do it this way. Most of the time we do it this way, but there's always an exception to a rule. Some synonyms for generally are usually, normally, typically. Notice that each of these, so the word typical has only one L in it. That's typical. And when I put the ly, then I end up doubling the L. So usually, normally, typically, generally, they all have double L's because the suffix is this ly. Commonly, as a rule, ordinarily, of course. It can mean mostly, primarily, mainly, largely, chiefly, predominantly, principally. So all of these words are adverbs that are synonyms of the word generally. There are a lot of ways to say it. The reason there are so many different ways to say it is because we really don't like to repeat ourselves. So this is a term, generally is a term that we might need to say many times in a writing or a speech, and we don't want to use the same word over and over again. Most people in our culture don't like that. So that's why we have so many synonyms that mean the same thing. Let's look at some examples. Generally, I prefer to start my day with coffee. Here, generally functions as a sentence adverb, meaning in most cases or usually. Notice it's at the beginning of the sentence. That's what it means by a sentence adverb. It's using generally as a backdrop. I can also say, I generally prefer to start my day with coffee. And in this sense, it means the same thing. If I put the adverb at the very beginning of the sentence, I want it to be a backdrop for the whole statement. If I put it in the sentence, then it modifies the adverb, or it modifies the verb. And if I put it before an adjective, then it modifies the adjective. The policy is generally accepted among staff. So to be generally accepted means it's a widespread agreement. She is generally speaking a very organized person. Now, this collocation of generally speaking, I actually could just take out, and it's a stronger statement. She's a very organized person. Now it's a strong statement saying something good about her. But if I put the generally speaking in there, she is generally speaking a very organized person. Now I'm saying I'm giving her a little bit of freedom to not be organized sometimes, even though she is usually an organized person. If I say she is usually a very organized person, then I might be looking at an instance where she was not organized, and I want to say she's organized most of the time. If I say she is generally speaking a very organized person, then I'm making a statement about her, and I'm not looking at the individual moment when she wasn't organized. Rather, I'm looking at her as a very organized person, but I'm giving her a little bit of freedom to not be organized sometimes. The weather in April is generally mild but unpredictable. So here we have generally before an adverb or an adjective. Adverbs modify both verbs and adjectives. And just like adjectives go before our nouns, adverbs go before our adjectives. So she is generally mild. Here we're saying most of the time. We're talking about the typical pattern, not the absolute. His comment was generally positive, though slightly cautious in tone. Here, his comment was generally positive. That means his comment was positive, but we've got a little bit of room for some criticism. It's not an exact certainty. The opposite of generally could be entirely. It could also be strangely. And the reason I say it could be strangely is if we take the meaning of generally to mean usually, then strangely would be something that is unusual. The noun general refers to a person. So I'm not going to give this one a noun. The noun, there is a noun called general, but when we use it as a noun, we mean a military person. So I'm not going to give it a noun here, but the verb is generalize. To generalize something means to make it applicable to everything. The adjective is general and the adverb is generally. If you hear, so like I said, if you hear a noun that is general, then we are talking about a person and it's a completely different usage of general. And if you don't understand it as the noun in the sentence, then you will misunderstand the sentence. So make sure you know your parts of speech. It's generally easy to hear if it's the subject of the sentence or the object of the sentence. In those cases, they are nouns, generally.
I really hope that you enjoyed this word. Use it 5 times today, write it down, commit it to memory, and I'll see you in the next lesson.